All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Ron. It's Monday, 6:03 p.m., February 9th, 2026. We will start today by asking if there are any questions. On yesterday, just quickly, on yesterday we went back to Second Chronicles 7 and 14 and we talked about briefly what it means to forgive yourself and how important that is, and how it separates you from, or stops you anyway, from seeing in any type of enlightenment. So we talked about that, and then uh, Pastor took us to something Kathy had looked at was John 3, uh, mainly verse 29, uh, that talks about the bride and the bridegroom. He who has the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. So this joy of mine has been made full. We talked about that. We talked about manipulation of the scriptures and how they sort of omitted femininity out of this and made the masculinity the most important part of this. And so we went into that for a little while. Uh, and we also, I thought this part I skipped, excuse me. When we looked at forgiveness, talked about the importance of peace. We spent some time talking about peace, looking at it from a different perspective, because everything else has been tried as far as trying to find redemption and trying to find a way to see who we truly are away from religion. But everything has been tried other than peace. So Solomon's name means peace, and we spent some time looking at that. And David, his father, meant beloved, so beloved could not uh, build the house. It had to be done by Solomon, by peace. So that's kind of a recap. If anybody has any more details that may help us see what we discussed, please feel free. And if not, are there any questions about anything, questions or comments? Okay.
Ron, I have a question. This is Vermel. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You just said that Solomon was not able to,
David, his father.
his father,
Yes.
his house was not in accordance with what it needed to be.
If I remember correctly, how the story goes, David wanted to build a house for God. And because David had blood on his hand, God did not allow him to do so. And he said that his offspring would do it. And Solomon was his firstborn, his offspring. So Solomon, David means beloved. And although he had a beautiful relationship with God and the things that he had done in his past, and Pastor used himself, if you remember correctly, yesterday as an example of all the things he did in his past was really is what led him to where he is today. But it also was something that he had to die from, because what he had to see and what he had to become was peace. Although these other things were sharpening him to bring him forth, they had to die away so that peace could be supreme in his life, or he be peace, not just in his life.
Okay. And I understand that to be the shadow work that each and every one of us has to do.
Correct.
And when we're talking about building a house, we're talking about building our inner house, our spiritual house.
Building ourselves. Yes, you are the house. This
Okay.
this this being that we are is that house.
Okay.
Yes.
So I went back and I was reading Second Chronicles 7, the chapter, but I
Uh,
don't really understand. My mind slips into um, physical man when I'm reading 1 through 7. So I'm curious what the first 7 verses are referencing. I'd like to understand it better. I think I'm asking the right question.
Okay. Give us just a second to look at that. And you Second Chronicles chapter 7, verses 1 through 7.
Right.
Okay.
The verses 1 through 7 speaks to the completion of the house, and it begins with Solomon praying, and what he's praying for is for the house to be accepted. Also, he is burning offerings, making offerings to the Lord, asking His glory to fill that house. Then it talks about how the priests were not allowed to enter the house of the Lord because the glory of the Lord had filled the house. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and they saw how the glory of the presence of God made itself known in the house, they worshiped. And what it's talking about is when the house is complete, it is up to you to make sure that your house is dedicated to the glory or to the presence of the self-existent one. And everything that it's talking about is a purging of you in order for you to get to the place where you understand that you, excuse me, that you're no longer who you were, that you have been transformed into a vessel that seeks the guidance of the Lord. That's what he's talking about. And
Okay.
the guidance of the one who created everything that is.
And
And
that's,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go
Is
ahead.
that where yesterday, when I went back and listened, where you were talking about you have to be careful not to go back like a dog to its vomit?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And not returning like a dog to his vomit. That comes out of Isaiah. But yes, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Okay. All right.
Why does it say that? Because everything that you have purged from you, are you going to go back and eat it again? Are you going back and ingest it again? And that is simply pointing to the futility of it. And if you remember, um, Peter says to Jesus, uh, "We don't have anything to return to. There's nothing left for us to return to." This is not a man or two men talking. This is talking about once you become stalwart in what you are doing, there is nothing for you to turn to. If you walk away from being a deliverer, what's left for you to return to? Nothing, because you have given up everything for the purpose of you becoming who you were created to be, and that is a deliverer.
So the 2 men not being men are just my inner me, my
It's
speaking
your
to
mind.
myself.
Yeah, it's an allegory. It's your mind. You're like, um, you know what? I'm tired of this. This is not making sense to me. Nothing is changing. I'm going back to where I was. And
Okay.
then something rises up in you and you hear it, there's nothing to go back to. I can't go back to the Christianity that I walked away from because I know now that there's nothing there. That's what's happening in dialogue with self.
Okay. So when we get to verse 7, verse 5, and it talks about oxen and sheep. I know oxen kind of signifies strength and endurance, and sheep, I'm not quite sure I
Sheep
understand.
is humility.
Okay,
These numbers mean something, but I have not looked at these numbers.
right.
But it is simply mentioning the sacrifices that were made.
Oh,
You your false humility is sacrificed. Um, the strength that you thought you had is sacrificed. All that's gone.
okay. So it's talking about when we,
And wait, let me finish.
okay,
And it says that now your humility is not a false humility because your humbleness is based upon you realizing whose you are and who you are, and that your strength is now found inwardly as opposed to your strength being exerted in a physical or a material way verbally. So is there are and I did not intend to go into every verse
mm,
by verse, but I'm doing it because the understanding that you were seeking,
mm-hmm,
and the then it talks about the Levites, the Levites, the priesthood, who played the instruments, and the music that they played was the same music that David used or to praise the Lord. So what is it saying? It's saying that um, the music that you recognized in your journey is the same music that you can use to praise the Lord. Example: um, there are R&B singers who were excommunicated from the church because they was once in a church choir and they were excommunicated from the church because they were no longer singing what was considered church music. However, if you do a deep dive into church music, is really does not have any meaning also. And one of the chief things that I found that I had an aversion to was the fact that church music never sung about how we love each other. It only sung about how we love Jesus. And the idea of us loving each other was never mentioned there. So this is speaking to a, a a type of praise or a sound that is separating you that separates you rather from the music that really you knew had meaning, but it was not the meaning that was being given to it. The bottom line is that all people, especially we as children of Cabelon, all of us, not only do we worship through music, but we also praise through music. And music is simply the vibrations of our soul. And excuse me. So, so what it says is that when this everybody is vibrating or on this at the same what I want to say at the same space in the same space, then everyone benefits from it. So that's where we are with right now. And the rest of it simply talk about offerings, and it talks about congregation coming together. But the major part that I wanted to deal with was the 14th verse, because it spoke more about the finality of how you are supposed to be when you have come through all of the challenges that you had to face in order to become who you were created to be. And then then it simply says, if the people called by my name, simply says that if we would, we who have embraced the reputation of our Creator, would humble ourselves and meditate and seek the countenance, or seek the face of the Lord, and forsake our wicked ways. And wickedness does not mean that you necessarily kill somebody. Wickedness is also worshiping a false god. Um, then, then you will hear from heaven. Then you will receive enlightenment, and then once you receive the enlightenment, you will forgive yourself for all the things that you got caught up in, and then your consciousness will be healed.
Okay. So I have one other question that I had. When it says at the end of verse 6, and all Israel stood, are we referring to our ancestors? And
Say again now.
when it says, and all Israel stood, are we also referring to the ancestors in that?
No, we're referring to us. Stood
Okay.
does not reference a physical standing. What did you stand for? If I were to ask you, what do you stand for? I'm not asking you to stand up physically and tell me the reason you stood, but I'm asking you, what do you have faith in? What do you trust? Um, what is your perception when it comes to understanding the reality about who you are? I'm going to look at that again.
It also speaks to commitment, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Thank you.
The idea of standing, it talks about endurance, and all of Israel endured. What does he talk about? It endured all of the things that was necessary in order for you to become aware of who you are. Now, when it talks about Israel, it talks about those who would rule as God. Um, it speaks to your, as Ron noted earlier, your commitment to the journey that you are traveling, as opposed to you simply standing on your feet.
Yeah, because it talks about being firm. It talks about being repaired. So this is all clearly your coming together, bringing self together. This is what I stand for. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to commit to. Um, and to me, it speaks of a process more than just, it takes some meditation, it takes some prayer, it takes some you
It,
know,
it takes your whole being
yeah,
in order for you to have this transformation. And this transformation, I know for me, it did not come overnight, and it did not come without challenges. It did not come with me having to take inventory of myself periodically, to see where I stood, to see if I really believed what I was seeing. Was I able to embrace the reality of what I was seeing, and my struggle with that really began to fade when I started seeing the essence of who I was created to be. Even before I knew that I was God, I knew that I was divine. And I think I said that some years ago, that if we were created in the image of God, then we have to have the same characteristics because God is not physical. So the characteristics have to be spiritual. And that was before I embraced the reality that I am God. Vermeer?
Thank you so much for asking that. It resonates in me and I have a better understanding.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Any other questions about these verses or anything
Yes, this
else?
is Angela.
Hey, Angela.
Hey, everybody. I got a question of forgiveness. So, how would one know if you really, really, truly forgiven yourself instead of just lip service?
Forgiveness, no, is no different than someone else. Um, when I take people to a place of forgiveness, for forgiving other people, and once this is done, I take them back to that same place, and they don't feel any anger, any hurt about whatever the issue was that they needed to forgive someone for. So when you forgive yourself, the same principles take place. You have no recriminations about forgiving yourself, but more importantly, you don't experience the pain that you did or the embarrassment that you did when you were entangled in those things that you needed to forgive yourself for. Angela?
Oh, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Sheldon. I was going to add to that, Angela.
Can you speak up a little bit, Sheldon?
Can
Hello?
you hear me better now?
Yeah,
Yes, can you hear me better now?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I was about, good, very good. I wanted to add to that. Angela, people they kind of make light of talking about people's feelings, etc. And you mentioned how do you know not just paying yourself lip service. It's just that. Whereas one of them are words, and to piggybacking that on to what Pastor Richard just said, the other one you actually feel internally. And your body is not able to actually lie when you're dealing with that particular situation, whether you're thinking about it or it comes up randomly or whatever. How your body actually reacts to that thing actually is telling you whether or not you've actually forgiven it or not. Whether your body goes into fight or flight, if you automatically feel anger or deep sadness or whatever we might consider or one might consider as being uh, um, the type of emotions or feelings that don't feel good, that means that that particular thing hasn't been fully forgiven, and that relates to yourself as well. That also relates to us accepting ourselves and how we view and hold ourselves up as well. That is the final answer or indicator, if you will, and whether or not we have forgiven ourselves, or whether more work is required. And it may be the case as well is it's not any particular point where we just automatically say, I have forgiven myself. Is when something comes up and we notice that the effect that it has on us, that we've actually truly forgiven ourselves about that particular matter. Okay.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Thank you.
I think we forget sometimes too. Just like the 7 verses Pastor just explained. Uh, there was a one of the priests that we used to listen to a lot, not read about a lot. That talked about your community inside, the community that lives inside of you. And when this thing talks about the priests and the musicians and all that, it's talking about you. All of those things are part of what Sheldon just described. That's part of your persona. It's part of the voices that is inside of you. Even uh it says that the priests could not enter because of the glory of God. That's talking about you understanding and seeing those things in you that used to be important. That because when the priests go back, they're not going to be the same. So you are seeing something new. You're always evolving and becoming something new. So that's what when we read these things, it's an invitation to see self from a different perspective and not just see it as other characters that went through something.
And to add one more thing quickly, just to go even a little bit further. This is recognizing, which once we pay attention, and it does happen a lot, once we, take inspection of ourselves, meditation, even things like that. The things get up or we become angry about them, not for us to get upset and about where we are, because nothing is actually permanent. It doesn't have to be. It's just a note to us that, okay, this is where I am at this particular moment. And even in that particular moment, every time it comes up to say, okay, this is where I am in this particular moment, that in itself is an opportunity to deal further with that thing, to change it and move on and work towards that forgiveness there. And it's actually, I would think, kind of good, because what happens when you speak of lip service is people actually go throughout life telling themselves that they have forgiven something, given themselves or forgiven someone else. And this goes back to what Pastor Richard was talking about in terms of working with people, taking them back to the event. They've been carrying that burden their entire life, the entire time, while telling themselves that they have forgiven it, and it's just been a heavy load that's been wearing on them that they've been carrying. So every opportunity when something does come up, not for you to get upset, is for us to take note and understand that we actually saw something deep inside in the stillness, and then can heal or untangle, if you will, from that particular point moving forward. I'm finished.
Thank you, sir. Angela, does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Anyone else? Okay.
There is a verse that I want to bring up, don't talk about.
Okay.
And it's in 1 Corinthians 2 and 8. 1 Corinthians 2 and 8. And this is a letter that Paul wrote to the people of Corinth, the inhabitants of Corinth. And I am very leery, as most of us are, when it comes to the writings of Paul. But just like all the rest of the scriptures that have been manipulated, this letter that was written by the bishop that's attributed to Paul, this letter has some truth in it when you look at it with your eye instead of your eyes. For the most part, this chapter, as well as the previous chapter, which is chapter 1, both of them are more confusing than anything else, or more philosophical, I should say, than anything else. Not confusing, but more philosophical than anything else. So Paul at this point is talking about the wisdom that he speaks comes from God. And he talks about hidden wisdom that was ordained, or that was okayed by God, that he would bring him before the world for our glory. However, this verse, this 8th verse, is the verse that I want to focus on for a few moments. And that verse says, which none of the princes of this world, speaking of the wisdom, that none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known this wisdom, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Now, what am I seeing in that? Because this message, these words rather, about Jesus, because that's what it's referring to, is saying that Jesus was the Lord of glory, which is not true, of course. And if you have spent any time reading the letters of Paul, Paul is the one who introduced Jesus the Christ, but he introduces it like Christ is his name as opposed to a function. If you read it with deep desire to understand it, which is a misnomer in itself. So why is it that this verse sticks out? Why is it this verse sticks out? The reason this verse sticks out is because of the one portion of it. And that portion of it that sticks out is, if they had known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Some translations say him, but the Lord of glory. I take that and I see that differently. I see if they had known, they would not have sought to crucify the femininity of the Ocabelonians. What I'm saying in essence is this: the main personage out of Ocabelon who was persecuted the most and who was figuratively crucified is the African or the Ocabelonian female. And this Ocabelonian female has been persecuted more than anyone else, because those who introduced the persecution of the Ocabelonian female actually did not realize what they were doing until it was much too late. And what I am saying is this figuratively crucifying of the African woman has shown all of us the mistake that was made by those who thought they could conquer her or conquer that energy, or they could manipulate that energy, or they could cause division between masculinity and femininity and introduce to this earth masculinity, and it would dominate femininity. And they did it by convincing males who represent masculinity, by convincing them that they were the head of the house and that they were the boss of everything, and that everyone had to submit to them, especially the Babylonian female. In Ephesians, it talks about wives submit to your husband, submit to your husbands as unto the Lord. This whole thing with Paul is anti-feminism or anti-feminine. And now what we are beginning to see is a backlash from that. And this backlash was not truly seen as powerful, to be as powerful as it is, until we started looking at femininity in a spiritual sense and making every effort to understand what it means and how we should relate to it. And in this last election, if for an example, in this last election, 92% of the females voted for Kamala Harris. And I'm talking about the Babylonian females. 92% voted for Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris lost. Yet, the winner is afraid of the African female, of the Babylonian female. And that is seen by virtue of how they treat the female. Over 300,000 were terminated at the beginning of last year when this administration came into office. Everything has been done that could be done to break the back of the female, meaning everything that they could do is being done to crucify the female. And that crucifixion simply means that to press all the life out of her, to take the fight out of her. But what is done is just the reverse. It became a stimulus that gave that Babylonian female a stronger resolve to push forward and to be not only a motivating force, but a force of energetic power and direction for the whole of the Babylonians. And before I go any further, let me ask you, are there any questions? Or are you able to see the pictures that I'm making an attempt to paint?
Yes.
Well, I thank you. Let me rephrase that, because I'm not attempting. Attempted means that it's not going to happen. The picture that I'm painting, the portrait of the Babylonian female. So this resolve has it actually made entrepreneurship with Babylonian females even a stronger desire. And as they were pursuing it, everything was done to make them fail. So they started using their own money to fund other businesses for the other Babylonian females, and that lost by Kamala Harris, that 92% that voted has become a block, a voice, a power base. Even though most of them, if not, well, the majority don't know the power that they have, and those who do know think it simply comes because they are African women or Babylonian women, but it comes because of their divinity and how they brought into existence every human on this earth out of the womb of that Babylonian womb came the Europeans, Chinese, Japanese, everybody came out of that womb. So the mother being the overseer is actually exerting her authority over these who have simply lost any sense of compassion or any sense of love and kindness. And and this has become the true balance that keeps us moving forward, the true balance from which we draw our strength. And knowing that in the past, that strength was recognized because you could see it when you see an athlete on TV years ago. That athlete was like, hey, mom, even though dad was there. But you could also see it in hip hop when rappers began to make money. They made money not from gangster rap or talking about the police and how they abused the community. They made their money by dehumanizing black females. They made their money by disrespecting black females. And their attitude towards a black female was no different than the attitude of those who are the enslavers. And they began to reference that black female as nothing but a sex object or something to be played with. However, that now is shifting. And it's shifting because there are those who are standing in the gap for the feminine energy in this earth and seeking the power of it and embracing the energy of it because of the recognition that it is from the cosmic mother that everything came and not from a cosmic father or daddy, male. It's from the cosmic mother because everything had to be birthed. And when I hear Babylonian men disrespecting Babylonian women, I see something. When African men or Babylonian men denied the power and denied the presence of femininity, what I see that as is males who die by suicide, meaning that the denial, the disrespect has taken the life of out of them, and they have lost sight of their deity, of them being a deity, and have embraced the Neanderthal mindset of a people who know absolutely nothing about a creator and have made it up as they go. A group of people who resent the gods of this earth because of the color of their skin and resent the Babylonian female more than anything else out of fear. Also, we look at what's happening with this Jeffrey Epstein thing. All these children who were raped and murdered, brutalized, all of these children whose childhood was taken away from them is horrific. However, we don't see anything being done about it because the men who did it, and in some cases still doing it, these men are the same men who has ruled viciously, and to them, they're women of property, and that's all. And they are a mechanism for making sure that the race is sustained. Now, all of this that goes out in reference to these children who were raped, who were abused, who were murdered. Now, this is an extension of what has always happened in this country. The difference is that it is happening to European women, or European children rather. Our children, our female children being raped by the enslaver was a common thing. Even after enslavement, there were men who were forced to watch their wives, their daughters be raped by these Neanderthals. So the Neanderthal has not changed its ways. The Neanderthal is no different than what it was, as I said the other day, when it came out of the cave. Their attitudes are the same, and they are carrying out the same things that dehumanize their own offspring and dehumanize the African female, trying to break her and take her power from her. And if you think that this is not true, then I want you to Google some stuff. I want you to Google the harvesting of minister blood. They meaning the Caucasian males are harvesting minister blood. They're also harvesting the skin of Babylonian females. And what they are trying to do is understand how they can separate melanin that they can benefit from. And and the minister blood, they feel houses the key to being able to bring into existence melanated skin. Now, is this going to work? No, it's not. However, I say this, I present this to you so that you will see, hopefully more clearly, the powers that be and how they are organized to destroy something that cannot be destroyed, and that is the Babylonian female. And they have employed men who look like us to dehumanize them in every way they can, by virtue of the names that they call them. And those names that they call them, whether it's a B or starts with an M, all of that came out of slavery. And now it flows from the lips of Babylonian men who have no clue as to who they are, have no clue as to the damage that they are attempting to mete out to those who cannot be damaged. Well, let me stop. Are there any questions or comments? Is this clear, Audrey?
Yeah, it's clear. I think the real secret, though, is down there in the 14th verse, where it talks about the unspiritual man. Well, let me read it. The unspiritual man does not receive the gifts of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he's not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. So I would say that's the secret in all this. They think they can dominate, they think they can do whatever, but but in actuality, they can't because they don't receive that spiritual discernment.
And that is what religion is, an attempt to control through spirituality, even though they don't know what spirituality is. So what I'm saying in essence is that even though these things were forged, these words were forged, from them we can glean who they really are and what their attempts, what they are attempting to do, and how they have brought into their fold men of a Cabylonian descent. Are there any questions about this or other comments about this? Think about what is being said here, especially the verse that Audrey read. I read this whole, actually, the first two chapters and into the third one. And this verse speaks loudly. It's a verse that tells us clearly that there is no way that a Neanderthal mindset can glean or can understand, can receive the things of the Spirit of God. Now, what does that mean? We are God. And by virtue of being who we are, it is impossible for them to glean anything from us that's going to be beneficial to them for the express purpose of being destructive towards us as a people. They made an attempt to use Christianity, Islam, and Judaism to fight us, to destroy us, to let us self-destruct. We chose not to travel that road. We have stepped away from that sector of this environment that we live in. We have stepped away from it because we are not taking part in an attempt to control, manipulate, destroy us. The other thing that gets me is when we look at how racist America is, and yet there are those who continue to embrace the energy that is seeking to destroy us, to enslave us. As Martin Luther King put it, they made us, what was it, a thing? They thingamatized us, meaning that they only see us as being a thing and not seeing us as being who we are. And there are those who have thingamatized themselves. There is no way in the world that I can have respect for anyone who thingamatize or who seek to dehumanize or deny the respect that the womb that they came out of. I can't see anyone who would disrespect that, who would deny the power of it, who will dehumanize it. I can't see that. Any respect. I have no respect for those who would do that. I have love for them, but I have no respect for them, because respect is a is a powerful salutation that you that you express towards someone. If your character towards our women is disrespectful, then your character does not deserve to be respected. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Now, I do think that we at some point sometimes, being male Cabelonians, have gone overboard to the extent that we have made efforts to try to fix everything for the female. Try to make things right, as opposed to doing what we are doing now, and that is embracing who we are. And the powerful thing is one of the things that we overlook. When the scripture talks about the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are spiritual. What does that mean? What does that look like? When we embrace who we are, when we embrace the divinity that courses through these bodies of ours, when we embrace the origin of our being from the womb of the cosmic mother, we are weaponizing our presence. And it is the spiritual essence of our discussions, our understandings, our being that uncovers all of those things that is antithetical to God, that is antithetical to life in this earth, that is antithetical to love and kindness, that is extremely abusive to anything or anyone who looks different than it. There's another thing I want to share in a moment in regards to that, but are there any questions or comments?
I kind of have a question. I don't know how to say it all.
Go ahead.
In a Cabelonian male who does not embrace who he is, can he be a stronger foe than anyone else, a Caucasian or anybody else who has a different mindset? And the reason why I say that is just because of who he is. And not, I guess he doesn't recognize who he is, but
The major effect,
huh?
I understand. I thought you were finished, but go ahead.
Yeah, because I look at something I was looking at reading about some of the things going on in Africa in a Cabelon. Is they're constantly getting the males to make to do their bidding for them, do their actions for them. And I just don't think that's a coincidence too. I think it's well, that's enough. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. You're not sorry. I am what?
Okay.
Yeah. The greatest damage they can do is disappointment and heartbreak to the Cabelonian who knows who they are. Why do I say that? Because even though they have the God gene, they are not aware of it. They suppress it, they ignore it, they deny it. And the only thing that means anything to them is the mindset of the Neanderthal. So the same principles that the Neanderthal uses to diminish our worthiness is the same that one who looks like us uses as well. So those weapons have no effect on us in terms of destruction, but they do have an emotional effect.
Okay.
Is that clear, guys?
Elaborate further with the emotional effect, please.
The emotional effect, when you reference your mama as being a bitch, which is the dog, and you're comfortable with that, how does that mother feel? I remember when you call African woman that word, you might lose your life.
Yeah.
That's how seriously they took it, because they understood not only the origin of it, but the humanization of it, and the heartbreak is that you came from my womb and now you're referring to me as this, and to use the words. I'm not gonna say the words, but MF, that comes from the same place. And to use those words is to keep alive a son who was forced to have intercourse with his mama or his sister or whomever that was related to him. So these are heartbreakers, but they are not destructive, because who can kill God? The heartbreak is there. Heartbreak is also there when I hear men who look like us dehumanizing women who look like us, or who are brutal towards them, or who lords everything over them. One of the things I would like to interject here is that there are too many men who look like us, who is the primary breadwinner in that house, and he lords that over everyone, especially the female in the house, without understanding that your responsibility is to provide for the sustenance of that household. You're masculine. You are to make sure that femininity continues without interruption. So that in itself is represented by that guy who thinks he is the king because he is a breadwinner. The female in the house has not lost the essence of who she is in terms of being not only the nurturer, but also the one who is extremely particular about how that household functions. That is another measure, another method of materializing the functionality of femininity, which maintains the life in the earth. Is that clear?
It resonates.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to avoid saying what you said. But anyway, that's where we are with that. And these words that are written in Corinthians. There are so many passages in there. What is it? The eyes have not seen. I lost my place, so I need to look at that. The verse that says, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and it has not entered the heart of men what God has for them. Here it is. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. Now that in itself is awfully written in a way that disparages God, because it says that there is absolutely nothing prepared for anyone except those who love God. Do you see that
Mhm.
in that 9th verse?
Yes.
Now, the aspects of that is when we make application of that to our current environment, it should read the first words of it is true. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered the heart of man are the things which God has for us or have made ready for those who really should say for those who don't know him or know it, as opposed to for those who love it. Why do I say that? Because if you understand the nature of divinity, what you have read it for everyone is harmony, is peace, is loving kindness. And it doesn't matter whether they love you or not. What matters is what your desires are for those who came from us, those who came from the womb of the Babylonian woman. Can you see that? Are you able to see that?
Yes.
This is extremely powerful. If eyes had seen it, if the ears had heard it, meaning that perceived it, understood it, if it was in the heart of man, we would not be facing the dilemma that we are in now in terms of watching the destruction or the attempted destruction of not only the earth, but the inhabitants as well. I am very grateful that the Creator has shown us something. The Creator has said to us that harmony is already here. You have to see it with your eye, not your eyes. If harmony was not here, then what would happen when all of this fails? Remember what we were told in church? If God if God moves away from us for a second, we cease to live.
Mhm.
If God removes itself from us, there is no life. Take that and make application of it to the first who were on this earth, the divine ones, the God people. If we were not here, if our presence was removed from this earth, everything would die. And And that is known. That is the reason control is preferred over genocide. The reason that we are killed in large numbers is for the purpose of control. It's easier to control a smaller number than it is to allow us to flourish the way that we flourish. Is that clear? Somebody, is it clear to anybody other than Ron?
It resonates, Rev.
Thank you.
Yes, it do.
Okay.
It does. Just Teresa, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody just smiling. Yeah, it resonates. I want to say something else to show you how effective we are. We are being called upon to enter these streets because Europeans don't know how to organize anything. And they want us to organize what they are calling their protests. And they are asking us to do it because they don't know how. We are not doing that. We are not going into those streets. We don't have a reason to be in the streets. This is the most leisure time that we've had, and I don't know when the focus is not on us. Now, also, there is an Asian guy who said that Asian people do not realize if it were not for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asians in this country. And that is very true. So what he went on to say is that when you look at the Asian population, the Hispanic population, and the population, as he put it, of African Americans, we are the majority. And we could very easily take over this country if we understood one thing, that the same oppressor who oppresses African Americans also oppress Asians and Hispanics. However, my words, what has taken place is we have bought hook, line, and sinker into the program that was devised to keep us divided. And it is one thing that did that. First, one thing that started it, I should say, because there are other reasons, other methods that they used. The color of our skin. At least you're not black. At least you're not one of them. That has been a powerful method of separation. That has been a blinder for Asians as well as Hispanics. We have been portrayed as the problems in our communities when the communities were created. Our problems were created by those who created the communities. So the bottom line is this. It's very, very subtle. And it appears to be slow in developing. but every population of people in this earth is beginning to cry out to the Babylonians for direction. Yes, it begins with, I want you to show us how to organize. Yes, it begins with, will y'all help us, the Hispanics? Do you not remember what you said about us? It's slowly coming to the place where the recognizing the divinity of Babylonians is going to be the saving grace of humanity. Any questions about that? And I hope you're not blind to that. Between us and Hispanics, the largest number of ICE agents who are not European derivation are Hispanics. A huge amount of ICE are Hispanics. And a lesser amount, of course, is us. So at some point, we will see with our eyes what we have been shown with our eye. Our eyes see the movement towards God. Our eye see the attempts to reconcile, but they don't know how to do it yet. The attempts to reconcile with their Creator. Slowly but surely, that's the direction that we are being shown that humanity is moving in. Any questions about that? And let me end with this if there are no questions or comments. It is not that I or we are trying to put African or Babylonian women on a pedestal. We cannot put them where they already are. We are not trying to elevate them to a space that we think they should occupy. They have never, ever left the space that they were created to occupy. Our focus or our seeing it have been lacking, but it has not moved femininity from where it has always been. And now that we are embracing that presence with the realization that it is what it has always been, because you cannot change God. You can't recreate God. You can't take anything away. It is what it is. So the more you learn about who you are, the more you are able to see the space that you occupy. The space that you occupy is divine. And everything you touch, it does flourish, but it will not flourish under a European mindset. It flourishes because we love humanity. We love our children. And we want to see them do better. And I'm not talking about this material financial world. We want to see them do better in the way they live amongst each other. I'm done.
Okay. Any final thoughts, questions, anyone? Okay. Good place to stop. And yes, sir.
I just want to say as a group to the ancestors, I'll make a request that the ancestors not only show us, but show those who this is reaching in the macro, who we are. Show us the space that we occupy. Show us how the children are coming back home, coming back to their origin. Ashe.
Sure.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your energy this evening, and I hope you have an awesome week. Look forward to seeing you Saturday.
See you.
Thank you.
To an awesome week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.